All right, three, two, one, and we're back. We are live, late night stream here. Doing a little more for you here. So I really thought that Space Crusade run was going to go pretty quick, but it didn't. It actually took a lot longer than I thought, and we still didn't win. So the moral of the story is don't lose your squad because once you lose your squad, it's really hard to take out a dreadnought with just two guys, or even with, as the case may. Well, I guess technically I had five guys. I should have been able to do it, but we didn't work together. We didn't do what we needed to do. So that dreadnought's still out there threatening the galaxy. I'll have to pick it up some other time. So right now, I mean, we've done one of these before. We did an interactive reading here of another HeroQuest Dave Morris novel. Now, Dave Morris is a pretty cool guy because he has released his novels all free on the internet. You can message him if you want a copy. He'll send you a PDF. Um, and yeah, it's not the same artwork. It's different artwork, and it's just the narrative and the choose your own adventure, and not the quest that's in here. So it includes new solo adventure from the best selling fantasy board game. And yeah, when I ordered this, I paid a lot of money for it and it was covered in paint splatters. And I was like, dude, what? You use this, you were painting some miniatures on top, some gray. So he said, sorry. And he sent me another copy. It's like, wow, okay, cool. And I think I paid like $40 for it. So just to collect it. But yeah, I've got one that's got a nice cover, but I don't feel as bad if, treating this a little bit more casually. But yeah, basically a choose your own adventure. So it starts off, you've got this is an adventure for the wizard, and this cover is actually based on Wizards of Morcar, which was an EU only release where you fought a bunch of evil wizards. See, there's the artwork. That's taken straight from the game. So thanks to Dave Morris. Not a sponsored video. But yeah, Fellowship of the Four is the first one. And someday I'll be reading that one. I read the Barbarian one last time. So we start off. We've got the HeroQuest world is loosely based on the Warhammer world, which is the copyright of Games Workshop and used with their permission. So you've got the Sea of Claws. This is going to be familiar to modern players of HeroQuest. I mean, they changed some things. It's the Sea of Talons now. You can hear Napoleon Dynamite saying it. Um, Norskin Steppes. Chaos Waste would now be the Dread Waste, but I'm not going to change all that because this is the classic. Let's see. I want to say this was 1993. No, 1992, excuse me. So 1992 has Hasbro has it's actually called Hasbro Bradley Limited. Check that out. So this is just for entertainment purposes, review purposes. Let's see. Screaming Spectre. So we're going to skip the first section, which is this narrative. It's just this little short story, which is kind of fun. It's kind of like one interpretation, semi-official, of what the wizards were like in the war. I almost said Warcraft, but no, HeroQuest world. And then there's Running the Gauntlet. So if you ever go to HeroQuest by Phoenix .yeoldin.com, that's old with a OLDE, you'll find this like a version of it. So there's actually HeroQuest Quest. Spoilers. I flipped past it really quick. So, but actually what we're doing is this. This is an interactive reading, Beyond the World's Edge. I guess it'd be called The World's End in the remake version, but a solitary adventure for a wizard. It kind of looks like an elf, actually. But yeah, that's the darkness spell. Arrows of the Night from Wizards of Morcar. That'd be like on a card. So that artwork's cool. Okay, so we'll start reading. Beyond the World's Edge. This is a solo adventure for a wizard. All you will need are a paper and pencil. Well, just so happens, so we've got that right here. And a normal six-sided die. Well, I've been using these dice, say ordinary six-sided die. There's same values, just they're numbers instead of pips. Pips are what they call those little dots, if you didn't know. So we'll just clear out the. Let's Space Crusade dice, and let's put that there. Okay. Be warned that the adventure is not easy. You will need to think very carefully about when to use your spells if you are to succeed. You might need to make several attempts, but if you do win through to the end, then you will truly deserve the title of hero. Well, I believe that. Introduction. You are a wizard of the Virid Coast in southeastern Emeris, apprentice to the Archimage Theodosius. Okay, Viridi Coast, southeastern Emeris. Can you find that on here? It's weird spelling. Virid Coast. It's the Skull Coast. I'm not sure I can find it on here. Well, I guess it doesn't matter that much. Somewhere on this map. There's Kislev and the Empire down there. So I guess the official Warhammer Fantasy map just makes a mockery of this. It doesn't really fit in, but whatever. He says on his website, he explains why. Like when they gave him the initial instructions, they gave him all kinds of freedom to do it, and then later they said, "Oh, just kidding, it's all Warhammer now," and it didn't. Like his geography in the book makes no sense, but whatever. It's a fiction of a fiction. Okay. One day, returning after an errand that took you away from your master's manse, just like mansion, for several days, you found the place deserted. You searched high and low for some clue as to your master's fate. But there was nothing. Among his papers, you discovered references to the Citadel of the Seven Statues, where, by legendary repute, one could learn the secret of eternal life. Only one very rare book is said to give the location of this citadel, a copy of which Theodosius had in his library. But when he went to consult it, you found only a gap on the shelves. The months passed by without word of your master. You had begun to give up hope, fearing that he had perhaps been carried off by the forces of chaos. Then this morning you were walking along the shore near the manse. He likes putting in those odd words. So I guess to expand the vocabulary of the kids, mostly young boys, who are reading this. Okay, the manse. Okay. Then this morning you were walking along the shore near the manse when you come upon a round-bottomed bottle bobbing up and down in the waves. Wading out to retrieve it, you were surprised to find that it contained a note. The message in a bottle. I know, you're probably hearing the song in your head. Even more surprising, the note was addressed to you. You raced back to the manse and are now unfurling the note across your workbench. You scan it avidly. The Citadel of the Seven Statues proved more dangerous than I had anticipated. I have been made a prisoner here, and I am kept bound in iron chains to prevent any use of sorcery. Fortunately, I was able to bribe my jailer, a hunchback of quite odious habits, and he has provided me with pen and paper. Well, don't insult the guy. It falls to you, my faithful student, to rescue me. Go to my laboratory, where you will find a magic carpet. Take this with you and ride to the easternmost rim of the world, the brink of the great abyss. There you must command the carpet to convey you across the abyss. You will need spells for your journey. Choose the spells of 3 elemental phyla. You have always resisted a good grounding in sorcery, and in this case, I believe your natural inclination to be correct. Many dangers will beset you, but I trust you to be equal to the task. Do not fail me. Your venerable master, Theodosius. P.S. Postscript. I will put this note inside my lucky bottle and throw it into the river that runs beneath the window of my prison. The unique properties of the lucky bottle ought to ensure it is carried down to the sea, and thence around the world until it reaches you. This will incidentally confirm my theory that there is a sea which encircles the whole world. An extraordinary document. You pick up the lucky bottle and tuck it into your belt. It could come in useful for this quest. Now read the rules, and then you will be ready to set out. Okay, so there's all kinds of introduction. Rules of the adventure. Now, this is very similar to the previous book, so I'm not going to go through everything here. So, yeah, we'll start with a shout out to everyone viewing here. Thank you for, of course, Strange Bus for visiting and helping us out. Good guy. Check out his stream. We've got Adept W, another TV viewer. Impressionia. Erica FNBR. Gareth Hreidmar. Gareth Hreidmar. He's got his own channel here on Twitch, own stream. He does painting. Cool guy. I enjoyed his stream, so check him out. Yeah, go ahead and sub for sub, follow for follow. Check all these people out if you're watching this. Especially if you're watching later on YouTube, come to Twitch. Check out these people. Some of them have YouTube as well. And Caxips06 and Maddie and Son. So welcome everyone. Feel free to chime in the chat if you want to. If you prefer to lurk, that's cool too. But this is interactive, so if you want to throw out a suggestion, I'll listen. Okay, rules of the adventure. You have 4 characteristics. Body measures the amount of physical injury you can endure. I'm going to skip over this. So just like in HeroQuest, you've got body points. Mind, so that's your magic resistance, your magic ability combat, ability to fight. So it usually remains the same throughout the adventure. I mean, you're a wizard, so you're not a big combat guy. Having your combat score reduced to 0 is unlikely to occur and does not indicate death. If you lose a weapon, it does change. Speed. Indicator of dexterity and reflexes as well as movement rate. Speed is reduced to 0. If so, you've been immobilized and must abandon your quest. Initial values for each of these 4 characteristics are given on the character sheet on page 93. Now, I could write in the book, but I prefer not to, even though this is kind of like my beater copy. Fighting. When you fight an opponent, the battle is considered to take place in rounds. Every round, just like boxing, every round you get an attempt to strike an opponent whom you're fighting. To do so, you must roll equal to or less than your own combat score on 1 die. They call it 1 dice. But yeah. For instance, if you have a combat score of 4, then you'll need to roll 1 to 4 on the dice to hit your foe. If you succeed in scoring a hit, you can go to the top of the charts. Now, if you succeed in scoring a hit, this inflicts the loss of 1 body point. Your enemy will also get a chance each round to strike back at you, of course. You must roll the dice for them, and any blow that they land will cost you 1 body point. And you don't have a lot of body points. Now, just keep in mind, this is live on Twitch, but if you're watching on YouTube, this is not live. I repeat, this is not live on YouTube, because we post there within a couple hours. Of course, tonight, I mean, it may not appear till tomorrow morning for all we know, because sometimes just YouTube takes forever. Hope everybody's having a good evening. Okay, multiple opponents. When you encounter a group of foes, all of them will get a chance to hit you every round. But regardless of how many opponents you are fighting, you yourself can only make 1 combat roll per round. This means that multiple opponents are very deadly, and you must be careful. Parrying. Instead of attacking in any given round, you can also try to parry. You must decide at the very start of the round before rolling the dice for any of your attacks for that round. You must have a weapon in order to parry. You have to roll a 1 or 2 to parry. A successful parry negates 1 blow struck against you in that round. Monsters never parry. Fleeing. Okay, if you choose to flee, sometimes you'll be given the option to flee. Okay. You try to roll your speed or less on 1 die. Failure means you lose 1 body point before getting away. Success means you manage to escape unscathed. Oh, so you still escape, but you lose 1. Encumbrance. You can carry a maximum of 4 items. So I'll write down 4 items at any one time. If you come across an item that you are already at your limit, you will have to discard something to make room for it. Note you start off with a dagger. So the lucky bottle doesn't count as one, I guess. And if it is lost, you must deduct 1 point from your combat until you find another weapon to replace it. Spells. Before setting out on your venture, you must choose your spells. There are 12 spells in all, divided into 4 elemental categories: earth, air, fire, water, magic. You can select the spells of 3 out of the 4 categories, giving you a total of 9 spells to begin with. So just like HeroQuest. Anybody who's played HeroQuest before knows that that's what the wizard gets. Spells can be used in any battle in any round. However, you cannot do anything else, attack, parry, or flee. On the round, you cast a spell. When a spell is cast, cross it off your list. It cannot be used again during the adventure. Spells are not items and do not affect encumbrance. So it explains what each one does, and they are slightly different than the actual board game. But I'm just to save time here, I'm gonna go with what I normally go with, which is, let's see, there's no elf, so I can do whatever I want. Let's see, water for sure. So we've got 3 spells of water, so that would be, I think it's the same. Yeah, sleep, water of healing, and veiled mist. So those are all good. You know what? Maybe this time I'll take water and earth, so I'll have 2 healing, and then fire. So yeah, I guess I am doing it differently. Earth, air, fire, and water. So those are my 3. So I've got fire, earth, and water. So it's defensive. So monsters are going to be hard to kill because fire is my only attack. Because normally air, you've got genie. Let's see. Genie, magical, blah, blah, blah. Commanded to do one of the following. Restore 1 point that you've lost from any characteristic. Inflict 1 point of body damage to a foe. Foretell the future. You can look at 1 entry option in advance before making a choice. Which, be honest, some people do that anyway when they play these games. My throat's getting a little dry here. Cheers, Dead Gamer. He's on YouTube. Check him out. He does some cool stuff with tabletop gaming, old school stuff especially. Dead games, you know, they're not dead as long as you like them and support them. Okay, or open a door or any other obstruction that otherwise could not get through. Yeah, because if you look at fire, Fire Wrath does 2 body points of damage. Ball of Flame, all the enemies facing you in a given fight are struck. Each takes a chance to avoid damage over only 1 or 2 on the dice. See, Fire Wrath does 2 automatically in this game. That's really powerful. But if Ball of Flame fails, it still does 1. Courage, combat score by 1. Okay, I'm wasting time here. All right. When you decide to cast sleep, okay, for the list here. Okay, so when you use, well, I'm not choosing sleep, so, or yes, I am. Okay, so I've got water. So if I choose to use water, I go to this page, and it tells me what page I'm at, and I go to that page. So that's interesting. So let's just look at page 90 for water for sleep. And if it's not listed here, then it doesn't count. So actually, I could memorize these ahead of time or write them down. So 33, 127, 80, 99, or 93. So I can see if it'll actually work. That's not cheating. Let's see, heal body, 4. So they're both 4. Okay. Talismans. These are magic charms worn around the neck. They have the effect of adding 1 point to your score and a specific characteristic. Talismans come in 4 varieties. So there's no Talisman of Lore, but there is a Talisman of Bravery, adds 1 point to combat. Talisman of Festination adds 1 point to speed. Talisman of Vigor adds 1 point to body. Talisman of Will adds 1 to mind. Well, I think I'm going to go with Bravery because he's pretty weak. Talisman of Bravery. Sorry, guys, I'm not giving you any choice with these, but I want to choose my starting gear. So that's what I did last time when we were playing as the Barbarian. This game, you're just the wizard. So much more magical focused strategy. So Talisman of Bravery is 1 combat. Because he needs that combat. He's already got lots of healing. You can start your quest with any 1 talisman of choice taken from the collection of the Master's Laboratory or Laboratory. The talisman gives its bonus only as long as you possess it. If you lose or discard it, Remember to reduce it. Okay, so that's item number 2. So 1 is dagger, 2 is talisman, and I've got 2 empty slots. Does the magic lucky bottle count as something? Items. Okay, so there's your character sheet. So if you were to photocopy that, get it all on camera. Character sheet. Name. Let's call him Zardoz. Not the Wizard of Oz, Zardoz. Okay, he's got 4 body, 6 mind, so just like the HeroQuest board game. His combat is 3, but since I've got bravery, it's actually 4. His speed is 3. Only 4 body, so but I've got 2 healing, so it's really like I've got 12 body. Now, does it say it can save you from death? Because this is based on the EU version. So it cannot be cast in thick of battle and does not work on a character whose body score has already reached 0. So that's different. If this were written in the North American version, then go to 0, it automatically kicks in and saves you. So here you got to use it ahead of time. Because HeroQuest was different in the European and North American versions. We'll not get into all that because we've talked about it already in past streams. Check them out where we talk about the rules. EU rules versus NA rules. So 9 spells. Once again, so we've got water. So water of healing, sleep, and veil of mist. I always forget for some reason. Even though I use water a lot in the game. Yeah, veil of mist, water of healing, and sleep. Fire, we've got fire of wrath, ball of flame, and courage. Yes, fire of wrath. And then we've got earth, which is heal body, rock skin, and pass through rock. All right, and we can always refer back as need be. Rules of the adventure. Okay. More instructions. Begin by writing the items you carry on your character sheet. You have a dagger, a magic carpet. Okay, so that's item number 3. Magic carpet. And the option of 1 talisman of your choice. I chose the talisman of bravery. And if you choose to take it, the lucky bottle. Well, that's all my items. Lucky bottle. Yes, I choose to take it. Also choose your spells, write these, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You set out on foot, finally. You set out on foot. Everybody okay? Let me just check the stream. Okay, we're down to 3 people. I think they got bogged down in the rules. Sorry about that. Well, catch us on the replay on YouTube. Now that you see what we're doing here. Okay, you set out on foot for the abyss, as instructed in your master's letter. It takes many days of journeying, but at last you leave the roads and teeming cities of civilization behind. Just a single dirt track leads you on to El Vizier, the city on the rim. You pass through its wide avenues, now deserted except for the birds that nest in the ruined buildings, and the weeds and creepers that grow between the huge marble paving stones. El Vizier was once the capital of a great empire, so it is said. But that was thousands of years ago. In those days, there was no abyss. You come to the edge. Oh yeah, the abyss. Not the wrestler, but the abyss. Right here. It's the World Edge Mountains in the abyss. Okay. You stare east across the abyss. Oh, I'm sorry. You come to the edge. The road ends suddenly, dropping away into illimitable distance. Below you is the black void of the abyss. Cold mists seep across its immense void, a sparkling, miasmic veil. Looking to either side, you see only the rim of the world, as it shades off into the blue haze of distance. You stare east, across the abyss. You cannot see the far side. Like everyone else, you had always imagined that it had none, until you read Theodosius's letter. You unroll the carpet and stand on it. Up, you command. Rise, O rug, fly, bear me into the east. Now, to be fair, in the real Middle Ages, most educated people knew that the world was round. I mean, the philosophers had figured it out even before they could do reliable measurements. And there were all kinds of ways. So the idea that the Earth was flat, not really true. I mean, some people at some point may have thought that, but in the period that everybody thinks of as the quote unquote dark ages, most people knew that it was round. And they could figure it out pretty easily. All right, but anyway. Okay, you unroll the carpet and stand on it. Up, you command. Arise, O rug. Fly, bear me into the east. And with a magical fluttering, it takes off into the air. Turn to 14. Okay, so no choices yet. All right, I had my bookmark, my dinosaur bookmark. Reading Hero Quest here, Hero Quest novel. Okay, not without a tremor of fear, you fly out from the eastern edge of the world, across the vast uncharted chasm known as the Abyss. Your magic carpet soars aloft through wisps of cloud that become steadily thinner, until finally you are flying under a sky of flat, clear night blue. Beneath you, the black void of the abyss is filled with miasmic vapors, which seethe like heavy fog in the cold hollows of a moor. Night and day seem to have no meaning here. For a long time you lose sight of the sun, and gradually all the color drains from the heavens until you are almost as impenetrably dark as the gulf below. On your tiny carpet, you feel no more than a speck suspended on the wind above the endless expanse of nothingness. You glance down only seldom, for it is like staring into the end of time. Then, as you hurtle on eastwards, you spy something far down in the depths of the limitless chasm. They are dim and distant, but unmistakably real, glittering lights in the darkness. You are astounded. How can it be? Lights? Down there in the abyss, 1,000 leagues from the last city on the earth? It seems impossible that any creature should live in the inhospitable, sunless cold, where the thick vapors are said to spell death to any living creature. If you are overcome by curiosity, you must investigate. Turn to 26. If you prudently fly into the east, intent on your quest, turn to 39. All right, folks. Here is our first choice. You know how this goes. You've done Choose Your Own Adventure. Anybody got any thoughts? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Okay. Should we investigate or should we fly on? I mean, time is fleeting, so maybe we should continue on. What do you think? Anybody? May have to make an executive decision. I know some people come on the stream just to listen, and of course, if you're on YouTube, then you don't have a choice anyway. Anybody? Last chance. Type your answer. Okay, I'm just going to make a decision here. Let's fly on. We'll just continue on. I mean, yeah, curiosity, but you know what happened to the cat that was curious. You can always reread the book, right? I'll just put my bookmark there. Actually, if we lose, I'm probably just going to say good game because it is getting late. We can always pick this up next time. Okay, 39. You've not gone very much ahead when you think you see the dawn ahead, spreading like a stream of blood along the distant horizon. As red gold light spills into the sky, the craggy outlines of the far rim of the abyss begin to take shape out of the misty blue haze of vanished night. Then it is true. There is another land, entirely unknown, far to the east of the world you know, and now you are its discoverer. Heart pounding with eager excitement, you urge the carpet onwards. Looming ever nearer are the sheer cliffs marking the end of the abyss. The rising sun sends out shafts of brilliant light, dispelling the vertiginous terror you felt whenever you gazed into the abyss. See, the author, Dave Morris, he clearly wanted kids to get out the dictionary and look up some of these words. This is before the internet was commonplace. Drawing closer to the undiscovered country, you can now make out a thick expanse of jungle completely filling the cliff tops. Some of the luxuriant roots and creepers have even dangled down over the edge into the abyss. where, you are alarmed to note, the drifting mist has corroded and withered them, withered them. Now, how fortunate that you did not descend into that mist yourself, or would surely have spelled your doom. Ah, interesting. So maybe we made the right choice. Then, with firm ground only a few minutes' flight away, something large rises from the treetops and soars towards you. Uh-oh. With its leathery black wings, spread across the fiery dawn, it looks like a devil flying out of the flames of hell. At first, you take it for a monstrous bat, but as it approaches you, you see something that sends a shiver of horror through you. The creature has the face of a man. If you call out to speak to the creature, turn to 52. If you wish to cast a spell, turn to 65. If you stand ready to do battle, turn to 77. Okay, so we got Man Bat coming towards you. What should we do? Should we talk to him? Should we fight him? Or should we cast a spell? Well, what spell could we cast? Let's say he's an enemy. If we, let's see, it's not one of the sleep ones, so we can't put him to sleep and have him plummet to his death. We could shoot him with fire, which would do 2 damage. You know what? It doesn't tell us to choose a spell yet. It just says, do you cast a spell? I don't know. I'm thinking probably magic. Some kind of fell beast. Anybody have any thoughts, suggestions, ideas? If you're on YouTube, don't worry about it. All right. I'm going to say let's try a spell. Hopefully it'll give us a good choice. Okay, 65. Which of the following will you try? Ball of Flame, Veil of Mist, Tempest, or Sleep? Well, we know Sleep isn't going to work because it's not one of the pages we wrote down. So we can kind of process of elimination, just mentally cross that one off. Tempest would cause him to lose a turn, I believe. So that would mean you get the drop on him. So if you have to fight him, that would be helpful. So you could kill him in one blow, but we're not very strong. Or, let's see. Veil of Mist, so we could hide from him. I'm just checking again. So Veil of Mist becomes partially invisible, cast at the start of the battle. Anytime you're liable to be hit, roll a die. On a score of 1 to 3, your opponent missed because he's unable to see you clearly. A Ball of Flame would do at least 1 damage, possibly 2. So we could wipe him out. It's a preemptive attack. I don't know. I mean, Veil of Mist seems more like kind of a peaceful defensive measure. What if we need the spells later? Of course, we could die right here if it's an enemy and attacks us. I think I'm just going to make an executive decision because it's getting late here. Let's say I'm going to do Veil of Mist. 137. Now, if you memorize this, you could beat the game easier, I suppose, but I'm trying not to cheat here. 137. The spell causes a curtain of mist to rise from the roiling vapors, filling the lightless gulf beneath you. It shields you from sight as you fly on, but the ploy is of no avail against your bat-like opponent. Oh, I should have guessed, because he has echolocation, right? Giving vent to a series of shrill screeches, it flexes its huge ears and follows your progress as though guided by echoes. See, I don't know. I mean, Veil of Mist, is it literally just pulling smoke in the way? Or is it like magically invisible, makes you invisible? So I guess not. Now it is too late to avoid combat, and you've wasted a spell that might have been useful later. Well, darn. So we'll cross off Veil of Mist. Well, now we know. Turn to 77. There's no way we could have known unless we'd read it before. With a shrill cry, it drops onto the airborne carpet and folds its leathery pinions around you. Claws raking your flesh and sharp fangs seeking your throat. Vespertile. Combat 4, body 2. Okay, Vespertile. So that's your enemy, this man-bat creature. Since it is grappling you so closely, spellcasting is now out of the question. There would be as much danger to yourself as to the Vespertile. Also, there's no way to flee from it, as it would simply fly after you and attack again. If you defeat the Vespertile, turn to 101. Okay, so our first instance of combat, we've got our 1d6, you at home can follow along. Okay, so he's got 4 combat, and we have 4 combat as well. He's got only 2 body. Oh, so we could have almost killed him had we used the fire. Okay. So it looks like he's grabbing us first. So who attacks first? I'm just going to assume that we attack first. You know what? Might as well. He got the drop on us, but as far as he got was to just get up in our face. So we're going to roll a die. So we're attacking him. Yeah, because we can't use magic. Attacking him with the dagger. Because I assume 3 combat is what you have with the dagger, and then Talisman of Bravery adds 1, so it makes it 4. Okay. So if I've got to get 4 to hit, and then it takes away 1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've got to get 1 to 4 to hit him. I'm thinking of Space Crusade now, but I got to think of HeroQuest, the novel here. Okay. So for instance, if you have a combat score of 4, then you'll need to roll 1 to 4 on the dice to hit your foe. Okay, so the only point of combat is to tell whether or not you hit them. There's no defense, they just get hit. And they get a chance to attack you. Okay. Okay, so I got a 1. So 1 to 4. So I hit him. So I do 1 point of damage. So he's down to 1. So the Vespertile goes down to 1. Now he gets to attack me. So roll for him. So he's got to get 1 to 4 to hit me. 1. Okay, so he hit me, so I guess I lose 1. So now I'm down to 3. Now I attack him. I get a 2, and I killed him. I guess that's all there is to it. Because, I mean, we could have parried, but we didn't. So we killed the Vespertile, and we're down to 3 body. Okay. So turn to 101. So we're surviving so far. The bat creature drops down into the shroud of mist that perpetually fills the abyss. You watch as it dwindles and is finally lost from sight. The fog and darkness close around it like pond water around a stone. The undiscovered country lies ahead. The undiscovered country from which no traveler returns. But it is the void-brimmed gulf below, from which there is truly no returning. Satisfied that you've put an end to your strange adversary, you urge your carpet on towards the far side of the abyss. Turn to 113. So it clearly was malevolent. I mean, you tried to hide from it, but it followed you. I mean, it could have just been a hunter seeking its prey. Still. All right, continuing on with Dave Morris's Screaming Spectre novel. Okay. So 113. It is the feeling of overwhelming relief that you clear the lip of the chasm at last. You are still flying at breakneck speed hundreds of feet above the ground, a sensation that most mortals would find disconcerting, but at least you no longer have the black, mist-laden infinity of the abyss beneath you. Excuse me. The carpet drops lower over the jungle canopy, and now you can see monkeys staring up in amazement from amid the lush foliage. Brightly plumed parrots, terrified at your approach, launch themselves from the branches with shrieking cries. Sunrise sends up wave after wave of steaming, bloom-scented heat from the thick, green tangle of the rainforest. It is sweltering, but a welcome change from the bone-chilling mists that hung above the chasm. Crossing the abyss took you all night, but you are hardly tired at all. You are sustained by your excitement at beholding this unknown and unmapped continent. Next page. The magic carpet brushes the tops of the highest trees, rustling the heavy leaves. An instant later, you feel a jolt as hurtling onwards, it catches momentarily on the end of a branch. You glance around, realizing the treetops are now all around you. The magic carpet is losing altitude. If you urge it higher, turn to 15. If you decide to land immediately, turn to 27. Okay, well, why would the magic carpet be losing altitude? Is it running out of magic? Is this where you're supposed to go and it's just going to take you to your destination and that's it? Who knows, right? So what do you think we should do? Anybody on Twitch have any suggestions? Should we urge it higher or land immediately? I'm thinking we should urge it higher because, well, let's see. Our mission is to go help the guy, right? He sent the magic carpet, on the other hand. Well, maybe you're supposed to go here. Because, I mean, unless it's like defective or something, you would think this is where you're supposed to go. And the abyss, I mean, where we're headed is not on the map. I mean, it's the end of the map. So maybe we should land. Anybody disagree? Last chance. Type your answer. Okay. I was kind of going to do this anyway, but I thought I'd give you guys a chance to make your case. All right, turn to 27. So we're landing immediately. I'm just going to put my bookmark there. Okay, we'll read on for a little while longer. It's 10 o'clock here, which normally would be the end, but we didn't get started on time. We started late, so we'll keep going. Okay. Realizing that the carpet is running out of magical power, aha, get your can of Mr. Fuel out and charge it up again. You lose no time in descending to the ground. You sink through the forest canopy into a world of sun-cracked, green-tinged gloom. An eerie hush descends on the jungle, all the birds and chittering monkeys falling silent to watch you. Great tree trunks slide past like the buttresses of a cathedral as you drift down, the carpet rotating slowly as it goes. Finally, you alight on the forest floor. The silence persists for a few seconds more, then gradually the intrusion is forgotten, and the clamor of wildlife returns to the scene. Okay, next page. You step off the carpet, staggering like a sleepwalker, drunk on the perfume of the jungle flowers and on the splendor of your surroundings. After a few steps, you remember the carpet and glance back. It is useless now, its enchantment entirely used up in bringing you across the great gulf between the worlds. You could roll it up and take it with you, but it is only a normal rug now, and it could be quite inconvenient to carry in the steamy warmth of the jungle. Decide whether to abandon the carpet here or not, then turn to 40. I don't know. In these sort of books, anything can happen, so I'm kind of inclined to just keep it, and we can always just throw it away if we need something else. So it's demagicified now. It's just a regular carpet. So we're keeping it. So we still got all 4 of our items here. Maximum carrying of 4. Turn to 40. All right. Daylight reaches the forest floor only in thin shards, but you are intensely aware of the hot sun beating constantly down on the canopy of foliage high overhead. The jungle seethes with boiling humidity, and there is the constant whisper of condensation trickling over the thick leaves. After you have gone 100 paces, you are drenched in sweat, and you have to cast off most of your fine clothes of silk and velvet. In the first book, he makes a really big deal about how fancy the wizard's clothes are and how grumpy the dwarf is. So it's fun. We'll have to read that another time. But yeah, this is book 2, and it's not necessarily the same group of heroes every time. So just because there's a wizard and a couple of them, it could be a different wizard, which I think is great because that's what HeroQuest is. I mean, you get your group of 4 heroes together. You know, it's not necessarily the same person every time. It could be different. Another set of adventurers. All right, you trudge on for league after wearying league. Insects swarm around, reveling in the scent of your sweat, and you curse constantly as you slap them away. A snake, emerald coils wound heavily round the overhanging branches of a tree, raises its head to regard you with the lidless gems that are its eyes. You're ready with a spell, but it allows you to pass unmolested. Yeah, that's what I thought. Arriving at a glade where the branches spread overhead like a net, you slog forward through a high cluster of ferns and are surprised to feel your feet caught in some sort of entanglement. Uh-oh. You pull one of your feet up out of the ferns to discover strands of white silk webbing wound, excuse me, white silk webbing wound around your ankle. How vexing. Already tired from hours of walking in the harsh humidity, you now have to trudge through this arduous obstacle into the bargain. If you have the lucky bottle, turn to 53. If not, 66. Okay, we have the lucky bottle. I'm not sure what good that's going to do, but I guess we could smash it over the head of the giant spider that's about to get us or whatever. Speculating out loud here. Okay, 53. Glancing down as you extricate yourself from a particularly troublesome knot of webbing, your eyes happen to fall on the lucky bottle hanging at your belt. Its rounded surface gives a strangely distorted reflection. You smile at the sight of your own comical image, then jump with a thrill of alarm. For a moment, it seemed as though something large, black and hairy, was illuminated in a shaft of sunlight above you. From the glimpse you got, it had a horrid abundance of legs, and it was descending rapidly towards your back. To dodge out of the way, you must roll equal to or less than your speed score on one die. Our speed is 3. You can, of course, use Swift Wind if you have it. We don't. To make this succeed immediately. But you must decide whether or not you're using the spell before you roll the dice. If you succeed or you fail. Okay, so we got to dodge out of the way. We got to roll. Okay, equal to or less than speed. So 1 to 3 on the one die. 1d6. 4. Okay, so we failed to roll out of the way. Great. Well, guys, it was nice knowing you. Let's see what happens. All right. So we failed to roll out of the way. 66. Order 66. Okay. The adder cob, a spider the size of a wolf. See, I knew there were giant spiders in Hero Quest. Lands on you with a soft thud. You feel the rasping of coarse bristles as its mandibles close on your unprotected flesh. Adder cob, combat 4, body 3. So we got the adder cob. 3, and has the same combat score as you, so it's pretty powerful. I mean, relatively. This creature's bite can be fatal. Each time it wounds you, roll a dice. On a roll of 6, you are killed instantly. Fleeing is out of the question with your feet snared by strands of cobweb. If you win, turn to 90. Okay, great. So I'm curious about this healing. Like, when do we get to use healing? Doesn't say we can't use magic in this battle. But I'm thinking we've got 3 body points left. I mean, we started with 4, but still, it'd be a shame to die right here, even though it is getting late. I still want to give him a fighting chance. Okay, so I'm flipping ahead here to the explanation of the spells. Spells can be used in battle on any round. Oh, so we could have been using them any time. Well, I guess in that last battle they didn't let us. However, you cannot do anything else on the round you cast a spell. When a spell is cast, cross it off your list. Cannot be used again during that adventure. Okay. So if we use Heal Body, it'll restore up to 4. Of course, you can't go above 4, so we'd just get 1 back. And I assume Water Healing is exactly the same. Oh, but water feeling cannot be cast in the thick of battle. It doesn't work on a character whose body has already reached 0. So heal body would be the one to use if we needed to. So this has a body of 3. Now that other enemy we fought was only 2. Let's see how we do. Okay, so we're going to attack it with our dagger. Just got to get 4 or less to hit. 3, so we hit it. So it's now, the adder cob is now down to 2. It gets to attack us. It's got to get 4 or less. 6. Okay, it failed. Now we're attacking it, so things are looking up. Let's attack it with our dagger. Attack that spider. 3. Okay, we hit it again. It's down to 1. I'm just writing on my little messy sheet here. It's down to 1. And now the spider's going to attack the wizard. 6. It failed. We could just kill it with a knife. Now we're going to attack it again, probably kill it. 2. We killed it. All right, it's dead. Sometimes the wizard gets good rolls in combat. Now, if you're playing the board game, don't do what we're doing here. You definitely want to work with your other heroes, be a support, but we're by ourselves. So, yeah. So we killed the adder cob. And it never wounded us, so we never had to worry about the poison, even though it's a small chance it would kill us. Okay, so we won. Go to 90. Moving right along. Almost sobbing with disgust, you stand over the twitching carcass of the adder cob. Ghastly ichor oozes from its wounds and leaves a coating of slime on your dagger. Oh, he's got to be gross. With a grimace, you stagger to the edge of the glade and find some wide palm leaves with which to wipe the weapon clean. Can't wipe it on your nice garments. As you do this, or that rug, as you do this, you happen to brush a few long strands of cobweb silk from a branch. If you wound these into a coil, you could take them with you. They would count as one item of encumbrance. You could also carry one of the large leaves, which, folded up, would count as one item. Note down if you're taking the cobweb silk or the palm leaf, then turn to 103. Well, the spider silk sounds pretty cool. I mean, we could ditch that useless carpet. Of course, now the question is, how are we going to get back? Well, I guess if we find the guy, he's got magic. Maybe he can do something. Of course, he could maybe recharge that magic carpet. But hopefully he's got other powers. We'd have to get in a ship and sail. Well, we can't sail around the abyss, presumably. Who knows? Might have to take up residence there. Oh. Sorry, I just dropped something. I'm going to have to clean up under my desk after this is over. Just grabbing a lozenge and a little bit of water here. So we've been reading about an hour. Almost an hour. We'll be wrapping up shortly. Okay. So yeah, let's say lucky bottle. I don't want to ditch the talisman or the dagger. All right, let's say that we're going to get rid of the carpet and get the spider silk. I feel like that could come in handy. Okay, but not the palm leaf, I guess. So 102. I mean, what, is there going to be a giant dinosaur that we have to feed the palm leaf to keep it occupied or something so it doesn't trample us? Who knows, right? Okay. Following the course of a brook, you make your way onwards throughout the stiflingly hot afternoon, hacking at creepers with your dagger. You eventually emerge from the jungle to see a landscape of lightly wooded hills descending into a broad valley. By this time, it is almost nightfall, and you are very tired. You're very tired. You need rest before you can continue your adventure. Fortunately, there is a little wooden hut just ahead of you at the edge of the forest. Oh, interesting. As you approach the hut, you pass a stone water trough, which is fed by fresh water from the brook. If you have the lucky bottle with you, you could fill it from the trough. Make a note if you decide to do that. It will count as just one item of encumbrance. Why would it count as not an extra item? Oh, it still count as just one item of encumbrance. Sure, let's fill it up. Lucky bottle of water. Stepping into the hut, you see an old man sprawled on the floorboards. He gives a pitiful groan. Oh. As you bend closer in the gathering dusk, you find that his leg has been horribly mauled. The sweat of sickness soaks his clothes. Probably he fell prey to a wild animal, but somehow escaped and managed to drag himself here. You moisten his lips with a little water from the trough, but he remains feverish and seems unaware of you. The only way to help him would be to use a curative spell, either Water of Healing or Heal Body. If you decide to do that, cross the spell off your list and turn to 114. If you decide to conserve your magic for later use, turn to 126. Well, the thing is, you're a hero, right? So you don't just do everything out of self-interest. I mean, yeah, there's the mission, but I would think helping the guy would be the thing to do. Now, anything can happen. Maybe he's a monster and he's going to come after you. But they say he's an old man, that he's sick. What do you think? Should we heal him? I mean, I have no problem using, because I got 2 healing spells. Water of Healing can't be used in combat anyway. And we've got 3 body points. So should we use the Water of Healing on him? Anybody disagree? Anybody? I'm going to say Water of Healing has been used, and we healed the old man. Okay. So 114. Note the code word Ophelia on your character sheet. Okay, so code word. The code word is Ophelia. Your spell miraculously cures the old man's appalling injuries. His eyelids flutter open and he sits up, clutching at your shoulder in amazement. What happened to the bajang? He says. One moment it was sinking its teeth into my leg, the next. He stares at his leg, jaw agape, unable to fathom why it bears not so much as a scratch. Obviously, you got away from the bajang, you tell him in a soothing voice, though not knowing what a bajang is. You're safe now. Seeing the last glimmer of twilight through the window of the hut, he leaps to his feet. Safe? Not a bit of it, he cries. I've lost my pouch of salt, which means we must be very careful when the Hantu arrive, as they surely will now the sun is set. What are the Hantu, you ask him, and who are you? Come to that. Exchanging introductions, you learn that his name is Sakai, and he is some sort of friar in this land. He seems to be full of local folklore, including the legend of the Hantu, which occupies his attention at the moment. You glean that the Hantu are ghosts that frequent out-of-the-way places and enjoy terrifying the living. The story seems almost quaint until Sakai makes it clear that the victim of a Hantu is usually quite literally scared to death. On no account set foot outside on no account set foot outside the hut until dawn, cautions Sakai. Also, do not put anything over the threshold. To do so draws the attention of the Hantu, and then we would both be doomed. You agree to his stipulations, just to set his mind at rest. Then, since you are both exhausted, you settle down for the night. Hours later, you awaken. The darkness outside is full of a sinister silence. For a moment, you wonder why you find it so disquieting, and then it strikes you. The silence is total. You cannot hear even the chirruping of insects. Steel your nerves, then turn to page 3. Okay. I should say paragraph 3 because this is its own section of the book. All right. The hut is filled with a screech that makes your eyes start from your skull. It comes from the chimney. Suddenly, a hideous bone-white face appears upside down in the hearth, grinning like an open grave as it fixes you with a deathly red stare. Well, I don't know about you, buddy, but I've stared down orcs, chaos warriors, Fimmers. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not the same exact wizard, but I think I've seen my share of scary stuff. I mean, human-faced Batmen, giant spiders. I think I can handle a creepy ghost. Hard, thin fingers reach towards you. Mad giggling fills your ears. A shudder of terror threatens to numb your senses, and you press back against the flimsy wooden wall of the hut. You have only moments to act before the phantom lays its fearful hands upon you. So I guess it has corporeal form. If you intend to fight it, turn to 28. If you have the code word Ophelia on your character sheet, or to 41 if you have not acquired this code word. If you prefer to rely on your sorcery, turn to 16. Well, if it's a physical being, it can be hurt, right? In theory. If it's completely immaterial, it can't hurt me, but it's just trying to scare me. I'm going to just call its bluff and be like, take you down. But what could I use against it? I've got fire. Is it an undead creature? Fire usually is good against such ghouls. But I do have the code word Ophelia. If you intend to fight it out, turn to 28. Well, that implies that I'm brave, too. Okay, I've got the code word Ophelia. Anybody disagree with my reasoning here? Should I try to throw magic at it? I'm not sure what magic would have any effect unless it's just a monster. They call it a phantom. I'm going to try to fight it. I mean, if it's magical, maybe it needs magic to fight it, but I've got Ophelia. And I got that for doing a good deed, saving the guy's life. Let's see. All right, he seems to know something about them. Maybe he'll give me some advice on how to fight it. Okay, 41. Screams ring out again and again as you slash helplessly at the grinning phantom. You realize that they are your own screams, born of pure terror. At last it departs, after it scared me enough, rushing up the chimney in a swirl of mist, leaving you a sobbing heap at the corner of the hut. Its bony fingers have torn huge chunks out of your flesh. Ouch. Reduce your current body score to 1, and note that you will bear the marks of this battle for the rest of your life. Your total maximum is now only 3 points, even after magical healing. Ouch. So we're down to 2, and new max is 3. Wow. Also, nightmare memories of its face will haunt your sleep forevermore, and you will always be nervous about what might lurk around the next corner. Reduce your mind score to 2. Darn. Oh, it was 6. Ouch. So this guy did a lot of damage. The night seems endless. At last you lapse into a stunned half sleep. Turn to 91. Wow. Well, so I guess next time I should have used magic on it. I didn't even get to fight it. See, I thought I was going to be brave. Well, you never know with these books. Turned me into a sobbing heap. Okay, turn to 91. You wake to find the first rays of dawn slanting through the window. The old man is no better. He gives you a weak moan as you raise his head to give him a little water. You cannot be sure that he managed to swallow any of it. Wait, why is he wounded again? We healed him. Did the monster attack him too? You rise to your feet and you look down at him sadly. There's nothing you can do for him. At any rate, nothing that you're willing to do for him. So you gather your things and make ready to set out. Perhaps someone else will come this way who can tend to his wounds. If not, you don't see how he can survive another night. You shrug, turn to the head east down into the river valley. See, that seems completely wrong. We healed him. So what is this? Oh, he's Poor guy, he's gonna die. I mean, unless you just read between the lines and assume that, oh yeah, the monster attacked him too. See, that's annoying. So you do that, you help him, and then it's like you didn't help him. Yeah. Well, I guess that's just how the book is written. Okay, turn to 103. You walk until mid-afternoon, when you come upon a stream. You follow this, and after a while it joins a river. The shadows are now growing long, and the sun is dipping towards the hills behind you. You gaze along the river. There is no dwelling in sight where you might beg a night's lodging. In fact, you've seen no sign of another person all day. It looks as though you will be sleeping under the stars tonight. The prospect hardly fills you with joy. If you have the lucky bottle, turn to 128. Well, of course we do. Still, not sure how lucky it's going to be, but to 128. Okay. Deciding to fill your lucky bottle from the river, again, you scramble down. Well, I guess we gave the water to the old man, even though it said from the trough, but yeah, transport in the bottle. You scramble down the bank and stoop beside the clear water. Almost immediately, you jump up again. Surely, that was a cry for help you heard. I came from upstream, just around the bend in the river. If you decide to investigate, or if you simply fill the lucky bottle, it will still count as only one cumbrous item and then go on your way. Well, we are a hero, so let's see if any good deed goes unpunished. I'd say we go to 139 and try to help it out. Of course, now, for all we know, it's going to be a monster that simulates the sound of a person calling for help as a trap. In which case, at least we died heroically, right? All right. Anybody disagree? Otherwise, we're going to make our choice. People on YouTube have no choice. Just listen to the story. Okay. We're going to investigate 139. I mean, technically, it already had water in it, so I'm inclined to just fudge that one. Okay. Around the bend in the river, you see a waterfall. In front of it, a woman is standing knee deep in the water and struggling with a bizarre creature. It is an unnatural monster of spume and river reeds, powerful arms muscled like giant salmon. Oh, like a swamp monster, Mire Man. Oh, you get a glimpse of silvery fins and a dull, piercing gaze. So it's a fish man. Ah, it's about an abomination from the remake from 2021. A tongue in the form of an eel licks the wet pebbles that are its feet. Oh, okay. Or the wet pebbles. Sorry, not its feet. I'm getting tired, clearly. A tongue in the form of an eel licks the wet pebbles that are its teeth. The woman staggers back, and falls with a splash. The creature is upon her before she can recover, trying to pin her and force her under the water. She fights back ferociously, but you see that she is unarmed and is weakening under its onslaught. You do not need to wait for a lesson in chivalry. Brandishing your dagger, you give a lusty roar and charge forward to do battle with the monster, but evidently it has no taste for a fair fight. Fixing you with its gimlet eyes, it retreats, dropping away into the river like a collapsing wave. You help the woman to her feet. Once she has got her breath back, she says, "May the gods bless you for your intervention. It was foolish of me to bathe here, so close to the waterfall. Since I've been, I have been warned often enough about the river elemental. River elemental is all you can do to hear her over the constant roar of the waterfall. That's said to be the sound of the elemental's rage," she remarks when she sees you cup your hand to your ears. "In which case he'll be doubly loud tonight, having been thwarted. If you ask if she'll put you up for the night, turn to 42. If you prefer to take your leave of her and find shelter elsewhere, turn to 115. Well, do we stay the night or do we go on? We just saved her life. She was fighting the monster. Does that mean he's going to come back and try to finish the job? I don't know. Should we trust her? When it says spend the night, I'm almost inclined to just say, you know what, we're just going to spend the night. But I don't know. I have a feeling about this. I just kind of want to finish it. It'd be nice to finish the book in one session here. I'm going to say let's spend the night. Careful. Careful, warrior. Okay. You go on a little further and eventually find a high, flat top boulder beside the stream. It will be uncomfortable, but safer than sleeping on the ground when you have no idea what predators are at large in this strange country. You fetch moss and turf to fashion a bed, then clamber up onto the boulder and settle down for the night. Really? So she just said sleep on a boulder? Um, okay. Oh, that was if you choose elsewhere. Okay, I was gonna say put up for the night. Sorry, whoops. I guess I cheated there. I didn't mean to. 42 is where we're supposed to go. Clearly, I need to go for the night myself. But let's finish up here. So 42, the woman whose name is Tripidia is very happy to have the chance to thank you. She leads you back to her home, a small farmhouse not far from the river. A few chickens strut around self-importantly. There's a pig tethered around the side of the house that grunts as it snuffles in the dirt. The inside is homely but welcoming, as you might expect, with strong wooden chairs set before a wide stone hearth. Watching as you place your belongings in the corner of the room, Tripidia is intrigued by the runes engraved on your dagger. So, the weapon is enchanted, she says. No doubt that explains the elemental's reluctance to face you. You try to explain the dagger is not exactly magical, but the runes only distinguish it as an Athaim, or wizard's dagger. Trepidio, however, pays no attention. She turns the dagger over in her hands. If you gave me this, she says suddenly, turning on you with an entreating look, it would be safe from the river elemental. I would be safe from the river elemental. He would never dare to attack me again. Yeah, but it's your only weapon. You consider her request. The monster did retreat from you very rapidly, and it is entirely possible that this was because he feared the runes on your dagger. Supernatural creatures are often very wary of wizardry, though the truth is that these runes have no intrinsic power. The elemental's fear of them would certainly ensure Turpidia's safety, but it would leave you weaponless, so you can't parry without a weapon. If you agree to let her have your dagger, turn to 55. If you insist you must hold on to it, turn to 4. I don't know. It's going to make her mad, but I saved her life. I can, yeah. I'm going to keep the dagger. I need it. Um, she might get mad, and well, let's see. Let's turn to page 4 or paragraph 4. While Tripidia bustles around about preparing a meal, you sit on the porch and watch the sun sink amid a red swath of clouds. As night closes in, the moon rises clear and full, and the stars sprinkle out of the darkness. A light breeze rustles the trees, bringing the haunting notes of a harp from somewhere down by the river bank. You sit and listen to the music, a melody of exquisite beauty that mingles with the moonlight, night, and river scent to create an enraptured mood. For this brief time, the cares and worries of your quest are entirely put aside. You surrender yourself to the moment. If you call Tripidia out onto the porch to ask her who the harpist is, turn to 17. If you leave her to prepare the evening meal, turn to 29. Let me guess, it's the elemental, river elemental. Let's ask her. I feel like we're no closer to completing our quest than before, but let's find out. Sometimes these books take you on a wild goose chase. She comes out wiping her fingers on her apron and sits with you listening to the harp. Then, when at last the music is finished, she waits until the echo of the last note has died away in the night. Then she turns to you. That is the music of the river elemental. Haha, I was right, she says. Sometimes when the mood strikes him, he creates such marvelous melodies from the sounds of the water. However, there is malice hidden within the beauty, for it is said that the elemental is a servant of chaos and will sometimes make a gift of a magical harp to a human who agrees to work mischief. Such a magical harp is the property that all who hear it played must dance, and will continue to do so until the harpist stops or until they drop from exhaustion. How very fortunate that the elemental's own music doesn't have that effect, you reply. It too has a drawback, despite its beauty, says Tripidia, nodding her head towards the eastern horizon. You can now see a faint glow of gold in the sky there. It is nearly dawn. You leap to your feet. How is this possible? It seemed we were only listening to the harp for a few minutes, Trepidia shrugs. It distorts the sense of time. Often I have known an entire night to fleet away, hours lost in what seemed a too brief moment while I sat listening to the elemental's music. It is just the price one pays for the enjoyment of such beauty. It is all very well being philosophical, you tell her, but I have an urgent mission that will brook no delay. Now I must set out, and without even the comfort of a good meal and a night's rest. Hastily gathering your belongings, you bid Trepidia farewell and set out on your way. Record the code word Stromkarl on your character sheet. Okay, so the second code word is Stromkarl. Stromkarl. Turn to 12. It's almost like a password. Okay, so I think we can just. How far is this going to go? You know what? I think I'm just going to read one more page here and we are going to call it a night. We're going to have to pick up where we left off. So we're going to say paragraph 12. And we'll have to do a second video. I'm not sure because next week may be busy. Maybe I can pick up the stream. Well, you know what? It's just like if you own one of these books, you're just going to read it whenever you feel like it. Pick up where you left off. So, okay, let's see where this goes. 12. Although warm, the day becomes increasingly overcast as gray clouds pile up from the west. You follow the course of the river as it meanders across the bottom of a broad valley. Cranes prance slowly through the rushes, goggling at you through their thin beaks. Once you are startled by a great beast larger than an ox, which rises up from wallowing in river mud to go stomping off through the undergrowth. You instantly raise your hands, ready to weave a spell, but the strange beast seems to pay no more attention to you than to the flies buzzing around it. At last you arrive at a lake, which is shrouded in thick mist. At its fringes, the lake merges into dank marshland. Where the river debouches into the lake, there is a narrow stretch of firm ground. You see a weathered old rowboat pulled up onto the lake shore, and beyond that is a ferryman's hut with a barge tethered to the jetty outside. As you ponder the best route on from here, the ferryman emerges from his hut. His gangling limbs, small pot-bellied torso remind you of a sort of comical insect, an impression which is only strengthened by his wide eyes and pursed-lipped mouth. You still do not want to take that out on the lake. Oh, you will not want to take that out on the lake, he says, wagging a finger as he sees you inspecting the rowboat. Why not, you ask. Apparently it has been abandoned, and while not in perfect repair, it is in good enough condition for a short voyage. The ferryman shakes his head. Mist phantoms haunt the lake, he asserts. My barge has been blessed by a priest, and the phantoms will leave it alone. But if they find you in that rowboat, then they will suck out your soul as surely as a man drains a whelk from its shell. You come over and look at his barge. There is indeed a talisman hanging from the prow, and though you do not recognize the specific runes, it looks authentic enough to bear out his story. How much for the crossing? You ask him. After some haggling, he sets his price at 2 items. If you have 2 items that you are willing to part with, cross them off your character sheet. Turn to 104. If you cannot or will not pay his fee, you can either try making your way through the lake on foot through the marsh, or else crossing the rowboat. Turn to 116. So there's 3 choices: rowboat, walking, or give up 2 items. Now, the items we could give him are the spider silk. I'm okay parting with that. But I mean, we would lose the lucky bottle. Or we'd have to give up the talisman. Or we'd have to give up a dagger. That's a lot. I mean, the lucky bottle has been pretty good so far. Of course, maybe it's used its usefulness. I don't know. I'm okay with one more choice here, going for broke. Anybody have anybody on Twitch have any ideas? Should we give up 2 items, go through the marsh on foot, or cross in the rowboat? I mean, I'm inclined to trust the locals more and more. in this because it seems like they're pretty much right about everything. I mean, okay, the lady was wrong about the runes on the dagger. I mean, this guy could be a con artist for all we know. Let's pay his fee. That's what I'm going to say. So 104. So we're going to lose the lucky bottle, and we're going to lose the spider silk. If we go to 104, let's see what happens. And after this, I think I'm going to call it a night. And thank everybody for joining the stream and for watching us on the replay if you're on YouTube. Again, if I had been able to stream yesterday, I would have done more of this, but just didn't get to it. Sorry about that. Okay. Accepting the items, the ferryman urges you to get aboard without delay. I do not wish to get caught out on the lake after nightfall. He explains as he punts out from the shore. I'm not sure of the talisman's effectiveness then. Oh, after nightfall. Okay. Peering off into the mist, you strain to make out some sign of the phantoms he spoke of. You can see nothing. Did he tell you the truth, or have you just been gulled by a clever trickster? You will never know. Setting you down on the far side of the lake, the ferryman pushes off from the shore and heads back across with all dispatch, his stick-like limbs a flurry of agitation as he punts away. You watch until he disappears behind a white bank of fog, then turn and continue on your way. Turn to 140. Ah, it still goes on. It's a page turner. All right, to 140. So is there going to be an ending? Just goes to more choices. All right. Okay, so we ended on 140. I'm going to stop right here. I know I could keep on reading, but I checked and it's not an ending. There's another choice after this. So it's getting late. We went 40 minutes over. That's okay. We started kind of late, so I'm just going to put a pin in it, as they say. I think that's what Covert Nerd would always say. Yeah, check out his podcast. He's pretty cool. Talks about HeroQuest, talks about other stuff. So we were reading Dave Morris's solo HeroQuest adventure novel, number 2, The Screaming Spectre, from 1992. So we just ended on paragraph 140. Feel free to keep on reading on your own from Dave Morris's Fabled Lands blog, or check us out next time when we play, and we'll see how far we get next time. So thanks everybody for joining us in HeroQuest fans. I will be uploading these to YouTube shortly. They usually appear in a couple of hours, depending on how things go. But I mean, we went almost 3 hours on trying to play Space Crusade, and we still didn't get done there. We read the novel for over an hour, didn't get done there.